recorded in a while. Okay, awesome. Cool. So we'll start off with our pairs, guys. So as usual, we're gonna go through our list of pairs here. So AUDCAD all the way through to US30. And I did kind of look at this just before the session. So I was just deleting all of my analysis that's not relevant to this session. So you guys can see I did leave the tags there. Everything that's blue, we're looking for bullish momentum next week, or we're looking to take part in bullish momentum. Anything that's purple, we're looking to sell. Straightforward. So let's get started with some AUDCAD and we'll see what's going on there. And as usual, guys, I'll just come and check maybe, or let me stop the video because I don't think it's necessary. I'll come and check in between maybe every pair or whatever the case is, just to see that we're all okay. And I think this week, maybe for some of the pairs, let's also have a look at that weekly, just so that we can get some higher time frame information. So otherwise, if we're having a look at AUDCAD here, everything higher time frame still remains the same in terms of us seeing some bullish momentum. And then obviously outside of this bullish momentum, we've got this nice corrective structure, and our plan, our agenda is looking for first touch, obviously second touch there, and then waiting for this third touch here. And then we're obviously going to look to see for upside momentum that might want to complete at the 90% rule of this corrective structure. So that's basically what our higher time frame bias looks like, or at least what we're looking for higher time frame. So from a weekly, basically what we can see here is that we've came down fairly impulsively towards this third touch area. Obviously, us as the type of traders that we were, we needed to wait for a reversal structure before we look for some bullish momentum. Anyway, fast forward 3 weeks later, week before last, we had a nice bullish pin over there. And then obviously last week, we saw some momentum to the upside. So basically, we've got a nice bullish engulfing from a weekly time frame. We're reacting from our third touch region. Cool. Let's go down to a daily. See what the daily has for us there. So daily will kind of remain sort of similar, or rather, or let's do this. Let's accommodate for all of the structure just so that we, wrong thing. I'm trying to grab this trend line. Okay, there we go. Let's just accommodate for all of the structure that we've got on our charts, just so that we've got a little bit of a better read on what's going on. Or let's rather use that other support. Let's rather use this low over here. Cool. So just so that we've got a descending structure there, and we can understand where we are within the structure, why, what is happening, and basically just where we are. Because as much as we're looking to make a decision, we also need to understand where are we within the overall structure. Are we able to make the decisions that we want to make with the probabilities that we assume lie in the areas that we're looking at? So obviously on AUDCAD, since we've got this nice descending structure coming into our nice third touch from a weekly over there, no reason why we shouldn't be looking for some bullish bias price action. Obviously, from a daily, all we've got here to deal with is we've got this nice support structure over here. Nice support that we've been formed. We came down, broke below that structure. Obviously, we've broken back above that structure. And then, yeah, we're looking for some bullish bias price action. So basically, let's go down to a 4 hour, see a little bit of nature, and then obviously isolate a nice POI where we can look for entries for that nice bullish bias setup. So basically, looking at stuff here, we came down, broke below this low, first low, second low, obviously some sort of a double bottom structure. Otherwise, nice, we see some bullish momentum. But if we take a look at what's going on within the structure, we can see that things are not very impulsive here. If we look at from the time price maybe gave us these lows over here, we can see we created a high, we broke above that high, we broke back below this high, we created another high. Maybe we can argue that the second high here was a little bit nicer, little more clean of a break and a retest. But otherwise, this momentum here, or at least this price action here, doesn't look like it's moving up with any momentum. If we really look at what's going on, there doesn't seem to be a lot of buying momentum happening over here. If we look at where we are right now, as much as we've got a bullish bias from a daily, where are we within the structure? We're at this resistance trend line. So we can't be buying into any resistance whatsoever. So obviously, all we need to do is just look for where do we see momentum shift. Obviously, looking at this move to the upside that we identify as some sort of a corrective movement, we see nice bullish, nice momentum from this area over here. So obviously, if there's any area where we want to trade where we see other buyers buying. So obviously, this area functions as our POI from a 4 hour. We've got a nice support. Let's do this just so that we accommodate for the most recent structure. We've got a nice low over here. Obviously, we do understand that this is some sort of an ascending structure, and maybe price action wants to come down, give us something, give us maybe a better buy below these lows here. Maybe that's price action's agenda. excuse me. But otherwise, the only areas that are going to present to us buying opportunities for now in terms of where we can see points of interest is this 4-hour PLI over here. Otherwise, the next area where we can look for buys is down low. So on AUDCAD, we are bullish bias, and the only areas where we can find buys are these two areas over here. So obviously, just because this is the closer area in terms of where we are right now, this area is closer to structure. This is where I'm basically going to be looking for some bullish buy setups. So all I'm looking for is just for price to react, come, violate this low. My job becomes very simple. Now that I have a level of structure and a POI, all I'm looking for is reversal structures below this level of structure. If I don't find any double bottoms, any inverse head and shoulders, descending structures, if there is no reversal structure, I'm not doing anything. If maybe there is momentum that manages to push price action back above this level of structure, then I can always wait for a reduced risk entry in some form of a retest of the same level of structure. So my job is fairly simple. Bullish bias next week. This is my only POI, at least the POI closer to where price action is. So this is where my eyes are focused on. All I need to do is exercise patience, wait for price action to come to this POI, and then we look for bullish bias price action. So nice and bullish on AUDCAD. This is our POI where we're looking for bullish buy setups. Yeah, I guess another thing to just say about the overall price action is that we are corrective higher time frame. So higher time frame, if we just look at major 4-hour structure, lows, highs, lower lows, obviously these are the previous lower highs, and you guys can see we broke above this previous lower high, we broke back below, so we are being corrective in and around this area. Since we can't identify what kind of a corrective structure are we forming here, let's rather just exercise patience and not trade this nonsense. We wait for price action to come down to where we observe a little bit better probabilities than where price action is right now. In terms of looking to sell, I'll hang 10. My higher time frame bias is bullish, and so I'm going to only look for opportunities that market gives me to buy. Any selling opportunities, I'm just going to watch market go by without me on AUDCAD. Yeah, so that's AUDCAD, nice bullish bias there. Let's go on to some Aussie Swiss franc. I think let's also go up to the weekly. Let me check the chats, just make sure that everyone's good there. No questions in the chats before we move on. Cool. I see stuff still, everything still looks like last week. So yeah, just looking at the overall structure, basically what let's just make sure we've got this just so we can move our charts. Cool. So basically what we'll be looking at is some momentum here on our left-hand side, corrective structure, new momentum to the upside, another corrective structure over here. Basically, this corrective structure, we're looking for some momentum to the upside, and we didn't see that momentum to the upside. Obviously, we see a lot of bearish momentum pushing to the downside. Obviously, what we were expecting is now maybe price action was coming to give us a right shoulder after completing the neckline or what else, this young sort of awkward looking inverse head and shoulders over there. So basically, we were bullish from this region over here on a higher time frame. If we have a look at what's going on a weekly, from a weekly, we can see momentum to the downside. This is obviously our previous low that we've broken below. Obviously, market is still sell bias market. What we're seeing here, we saw a nice bullish engulfing. Ever since we saw this nice bullish engulfing, what are we seeing? We're seeing some rejection to the downside. So obviously, price action from a weekly already doesn't really look like last week was any sort of a bullish week. If we take a look at the color of this candlestick, I guess maybe just to mention, because it's something to mention, the color does matter in a sense, because if you think about what's going on, because this candlestick is obviously green, okay, on my charts it's blue, but it's a bullish candlestick, so it's green. We know that the price closed higher. So if we see the formation of this candlestick, we opened here, price pushed up, price rejected, and price closed somewhere here. So on a lower time frame, what does this look like to you? This looks like impulse, and this looks like correction on a lower time frame. So obviously, because it's blue, or because in this case it's green, it's a bullish candlestick, on a lower time frame, that could just be impulse correction. Maybe we could be preparing to move to the upside. We have no idea. But what we can see is that there is someone that's willing to sell from a weekly time frame. So obviously, market is not ready for us to buy, or at least to exercise our bullish bias where price action is right now. So what are we going to do? We drop down onto the lower time frames, get a little bit more detail, and then obviously we make better decisions. So coming back to a daily, we can see that nice big bearish daily bearish engulfing. Obviously, that rejection that we saw from a weekly. Another piece of information that obviously we can take into account is that we had this resistance, price action came back, and obviously we're reacting from this resistance area once again. So obviously, as much as maybe we want to buy, we're expecting that right shoulder, whatever the case is, price action is not giving us any opportunities to buy. So I guess goes back onto this thing of that we don't force our bias. Obviously, a lot of people have a lot of different methods, a lot of different theories that they use to understand what's going on in the market. And unfortunately for me, I'm very stubborn. And when something of mine, or when I'm looking for a specific piece of price action, if it doesn't form, I'm not going to force my bias and buy anyway. Like last week, yes, this was our POI. We even had set alerts and whatever. Price action didn't come to our POI, so we did not buy. And obviously, I guess maybe we would have got into a good trade or whatever the case is. We don't know. We weren't involved in the trading opportunity. But otherwise, we can see that there was no follow through of this momentum. And I guess in terms of if maybe we're entering, assuming that we were going to swing to the upside, at least we stayed out of a trade that wasn't really a swing anyway on a higher time frame, because our criteria wasn't fulfilled the first time. So all we're doing is we're going to exercise patience. As long as market is not giving us what we're looking for in terms of our bullish bias trading opportunities, we're not going to do anything. In terms of a sell, everything is 100% right for someone that wants to sell Aussie Swiss franc. So otherwise, let's go up to or down to a 4 hour and see what's been cooking here on a 4 hour. So basically, if we just look at things, we have this inverse head and shoulders here where we're looking for bullish bias price action. Obviously, we did pin below these lows, below these equal lows, but we didn't tap into the POI that we were looking to buy from last week. So we didn't buy. Cool. All we're doing is the same POI is still valid. Price action still has not come back to that POI. So POI is still valid for me to look for bullish bias price action. What's that going to do? That's also going to give me patience to see what does price choose to do. If it does want to move to the downside, how is price moving to the downside? When we do get here, what does price do at this area? Obviously, I'll be reevaluating my bullish bias to see if I can still buy if price action does come back to this area. Otherwise, in terms of any sells, I'm just going to exercise patience. I'm not going to sell. I'm just going to wait and see what's going on. If market's going to sell, I'm going to miss that opportunity. But yeah, I'm looking to buy a higher time frame. And until I'm either like we're doing now, we're going to either wait for structure to change and accommodate our bias, our higher time frame bias. We're going to wait for those lower time frames to accommodate that bias, or we do nothing. So otherwise, bullish bias on AJ from this area, I mean on AD Swiss franc. From this POI over here. And basically, let's go on to AJ, see what's going on in AJ. Nothing there in the chat's cool. So AJ, let's go up to a weekly. Let's go up to a weekly. So weekly, obviously we're in this ascending structure, right? First touch, second touch, third touch. We know from a while that there's a whole lot of crap going on at this third touch area there, right? Cool. Let's zoom in, see what's happening in terms of structure and candlesticks most recent price action from a weekly. Obviously, from a weekly, we can see that we've got this left shoulder, or whatever the case is, we've got a swing high. Price action came back. We rejected that swing high from a weekly. We failed to break and close above that swing high. We saw some sellers. Obviously, we saw corrective price action. No momentum going to the downside as yet. Price action came back up. What happened last week? We rejected from this same previous level of structure that price action has broken above and broken back below. Obviously, we came back and we retested. Nice kind of, I guess, set up, or at least whatever sells that we're looking for, that we're expecting. We're seeing price action from a higher time frame, giving us an indication that someone somewhere in the world is looking to sell, or was looking to sell AUDJPY, which is information that we want to see, considering that we want to sell AJ, or at least we've been looking to sell these JPY code pairs for the longest of time. So otherwise, let's go down to a daily, see what's cooking on a daily. So daily, basically, what we've got here is we've got previous resistance or level of structure, whatever the case is. Price action came back. We rejected the level of structure, and then obviously we've got some momentum moving away from that level of structure. There's anything else for us to talk about on a daily? No, I guess daily, no, nothing much aside from the fact that we're seeing momentum to the downside, rejecting a previous level of structure that we've created, broke above, broken back below, came back, retested, I guess, not perfectly, but okay enough. Let's go into 4 hours, see what's the nature of the structure that we've got there. Since we're looking to sell AJ, where can we sell AJ? If ever we wanted to buy AJ, where could we buy AJ? So otherwise, AJ, the reason why I kind of want to keep trading opportunities in both directions open for myself is because AJ is more or less kind of moving sideways. Yes, we've got this nice descending structure. I just noticed that there was some thing on my chart. Cool. Yes, we've got a descending structure. We obviously use that descending structure to maybe look for bullish momentum, whatever the case is. We had this ascending structure, which we were looking for bearish momentum over the course of last week from this POI over here. We were expecting maybe price action was going to reject. We broke above, but nonetheless, we saw anyway, we've got that sell bias momentum coming into the market. So nonetheless, we rejected from a level of structure. All we're going to do to be safe is we're going to keep trading AJ like we've been trading AJ, which is we're going to use most recent structure to be able to confirm the decisions that we plan during the week. Since we are moving sideways, we've been using structure to make decisions. We've been finding buys, we've been finding sells as structure's been developing. Let's keep doing that since we see that there's just a big high time frame chop that's going on. We're moving sideways high time frame. So basically, since we have this ascending structure, we see this momentum breaking below this ascending structure, violating whatever small levels of structure we have inside of there. All I'm going to do is, yes, there's some sort of a bearish engulfing or at least some sort of momentum shift that happened in there on, I know, on a smaller time frame, but we're not going down onto the 1 hour, onto the whatevers for this analysis. We're basically preparing for next week. Now we know that this can function as a POI for us to look to sell. So if ever we want to follow through, or at least I'm going to be looking to sell over the course of next week. So all I'm waiting for is, since I do have momentum, I'm waiting for a corrective structure to terminate where? Somewhere in and around this area. Once I have a corrective structure that terminates somewhere inside of this area, I know this is where I'm looking for my entry criteria inside of this area for sell bias trading opportunities. Otherwise, if ever price action does not tap into this area, but we continue moving to the downside, I can look at this momentum shift here that we see violating this level of structure, and as well as this level of structure, and as well as this level of structure over here. This is where that momentum originated. Yes, we did also push again from here, but obviously price action is right here. By the time I look at market on Monday, price will have already done something from here. So obviously we look at the next level of structure. So for a buying opportunity, if we do not tap into this area yet, but we tap down here first, I will be looking to see how does price action come into this area. Can I look for a buying opportunity? Short-term buying opportunity. Otherwise, guys, my eyes are focused on selling. I do want to sell high time frame, the weekly. If we are going to maybe form some sort of a head and shoulder structure on a weekly, I want to be involved in that sell bias momentum. So I'm looking for sales over the course of next week. This is my POI. Yeah, AJ. Let's go on to some AU. Let's check the chats. Nothing there in the chats. Awesome. Let's continue. Okay, I think we can look at the weekly, but not a lot of information, relevant information. Okay, cool. So basically, AU, high time frame, we've got this momentum, we've got this corrective structure. Obviously, that's kind of maybe why from a high time frame, we would rather be involved on buying opportunities rather than selling opportunities, because there is potential for bullish bias momentum from a higher time frame. Otherwise, cool. Oh, we didn't speak about the candlesticks. Most recent price action, obviously, last week we rejected whatever lows or whatever the case is there. We rejected the week before last week. We have a nice bullish engulfing, nice momentum shift over there from a weekly. So it's a kind of price action that we want to see. Where we want to buy, we want to see other people buying. And then obviously we hope that we jump into the trend early enough to be able to find continuation and maximize on whatever returns. That's kind of our objective. So basically looking at stuff here from a weekly, we have this previous level of structure there that we've broken below. We've broken and closed back above nicely from a weekly. So obviously we can expect to look for trading opportunities as price action comes back to retest that level of structure. Cool. Let's go down to a daily, get a little bit more detail, see what's cooking there. So from a daily, last week we were looking at this nice descending structure there, first touch, second touch, third touch, and a fourth touch if we go down to the 4 hour, but basically it was like a double bottom structure. Basically, yeah, first touch, second touch, third touch, we had that upside momentum. But the upside momentum we'll see on a 4 hour. We've got some more information to talk about there on a 4 hour. But basically, we're looking for bullish price momentum. We are seeing that someone somewhere is prepared to buy AU. Nice information. Since we've got a nice bullish bias, let's go down to the 4 hour and see for points of interest that if ever we do find buying opportunities, where will we maximize on those probabilities to buy? Basically, we've got this nice descending structure here. Obviously, break of structures to the upside. Where do we see any such momentum? As price action was moving to the upside, where do we see momentum? First of all, I see a nice bullish engulfing over here. I see another bullish engulfing over there. Clear signs of momentum shift. Has price action come back to any one of these areas ever since we created that momentum? No, meaning that if there's any hedge fund that caused all of this buying momentum, and maybe for some reason, maybe they haven't offloaded, they haven't gotten out of their buy as yet, if price action ever comes back to this area, are they not going to pump this market again? They probably will, to protect their position so that they don't go into a negative. They don't want to go into a negative. They never lose, or at least we assume. They lose small. So yeah. So basically, I want to trade where other buyers are trading. So basically, simple enough, since I'm bullish bias, yes, we do have some ascending whatever is going on here. I'm not looking to sell this thing. If ever maybe price action came to fulfill the 90% rule where we see this momentum shift over there, price action never, maybe we can sell from there if the structure is nice enough. But otherwise, I want to buy because higher time frame gives me more probabilities in that direction. So all I'm going to do, exercise patience, wait for these sellers to come in, push price action down. Maybe this is not even sellers coming to the market. Maybe it's someone taking profit from a buy. We will never know why market is moving up, why market is moving down. Could be either one of the two. And otherwise, we take whatever information, we look at nature's theory. How does price action come to an area where I want to buy? What does price do when we get to this area where I want to buy? Those two pieces of information will be more than enough for me to make a decision. So otherwise, patience until we get here or here. These are the regions where I would like to buy AUDUSD. Basically, impulse, correction, continuation, hopefully to the 90% rule. That's what I'm looking for. Let's go on to some CCN. Nothing there in the chats. Awesome. Let's continue. So CCN, I don't know if the weekly, okay, I didn't look at the weekly on this post. I don't know if weekly has much. Nah, I don't think weekly has much. Aside from maybe a bearish rejection or whatever, but I don't want to pull information out of the air. So I don't think weekly really has much for me on CCN. But if we come down to the lower time frames from last week, we're looking for downside continuation, right? Let's just go straight to the 4 hour, because I don't think high time frames are clear enough for us to force the sell bias that we've been looking for. But I think things are beautiful. Tap into the area. If this is not a sniper entry, I don't know what is. But otherwise, I jumped in a little bit too early and I sold here. So I missed it. Susian stopped me out. But it is what it is. Hopefully someone got it from last week. But yeah, so basically we see some sell bias momentum, right? We've got this nice ascending structure there. We finally see someone somewhere looking to sell. Obviously, I want to continue. I still would like to sell. Where am I within the structure? I'm somewhere close to support. So it doesn't make sense for me to be looking for any sell bias trading opportunities whatsoever. So what am I going to do? I'm going to play this as safe as I always play it. I'm going to look for, where do I see these sellers coming in? There's my bearish engulfing over there. Has price action come back to this bearish engulfing ever since we created it? No, we never tapped into this bullish candlestick as yet. So what I can do is just simply enough, wait, that's why I have my alert here. So basically, I've basically just looked, while I was deleting all of my last week's analysis, I was already looking and seeing what I would analyze and what decisions I would make. So I already put alerts. I'm already prepared. I'm just basically sharing it with you guys, getting another opportunity to listen to myself again and hear whether my biases are shit, whether my reasonings were really out of reason and logic, or maybe I was just fucking around that time when I was analyzing. But yeah, I've already got alerts. I'm already set. So basically, I'm waiting for price action to come back into this region here, where I see bunch of sellers coming into the market. That's the safest area for me to look for trading opportunities with the information that's currently on my charts. So all I'm going to do is just wait for price action to come into this area here. Again, we're paying attention to how does price come to this area. If we come impulsively, then we wait for a reversal structure, because we can't do the opposite of what we see market is buying. Why do we want to sell into a whole lot of buyers? So if market comes impulsively, we wait for a reversal structure so that we make sure that there's someone that's waiting or that could be selling CCN. Otherwise, if we come correctively, then we can look for that risk entry. Why? Because we've come correctively, showing no momentum coming to an area where we've previously seen sellers, saw sellers. So obviously, if those sellers are there, then they're going to sell again. Price action came there correctively. So yeah, how does price come there? What do we do when we're at this area? Those are the two pieces of information that I'm going to be waiting for next week. So sell bias, but only from this area here. I'm not going to sell anywhere inside. I don't know what price is going to do here, but I'm not looking to sell until this alert gets triggered. That's the only time I'll look at CCN. Yeah. yeah, you can take that concept through anywhere where you see an alert on my chart. That's basically the only time I'm really going to focus on that pair when that alert is triggered. Yeah. Let's go on to some New Zealand dollar CAD. So New Zealand dollar CAD, let's go up to weekly. Maybe okay, not a lot of information, but anyway, basically, okay, let's look at the level of structure that we've been looking at for the longest of time. We were looking at this level of structure here, right? Obviously, price came here impulsively, so we didn't rush and just start buying because we came here with a lot of momentum. We had to wait for some structure to form before we started buying. Patience ended up doing us some sort of diligence. We got some sort of a structure that developed. Yeah, cool. From a weekly, I guess we can say that we rejected the week before last, and then last week we've got some kind of higher high, higher close. Maybe you guys can consider this a bullish engulfing. I don't know what's your definition, but for me, that's a bullish engulfing, higher high, higher close. Sad that maybe this candlestick was not red because now it doesn't show a real momentum shift. But yeah, we saw last week was bullish. Anyway, coming back to the daily. So weekly, not really a lot of information for us on the weekly on New Zealand dollar CAD, but daily might be right. So daily, cool. Yeah, daily, basically last week, I think we were looking for, yes, okay. Last week, we basically had this momentum already moving away from this previous level of structure that we've broken below, this level of structure here, we broke below. And we're basically looking for price action to come back and tap us in, form some sort of a right shoulder. And then that's where we would have found there's those nice reduced risk entries for bullish price momentum. And from a daily, we can see that price action is not, there's no real momentum besides where we were looking for momentum from last week. Last week, not really a lot of momentum moving away from this level of structure. You can see a lot of wicks in this area here, and then obviously a lot of wicks at the bottom as well. So we know that when we go down to a 4-hour, we're going to be the witness to a lot of chop. So basically, resistance, we can see the price action has been rejecting this resistance. Friday closed above this resistance, but nonetheless, we can already see that price is being corrected. So what we want to do, we want to still be safe and look for those reduced risk entries. We want to buy, but can we buy from this area where we can see that price action has a tendency to want to break out and break back in? Would I be safe buying here? Well, definitely not T.Mayne, that's for sure. But otherwise, let's go down to a 4-hour and see what nature we have, just so that with our bullish bias, we observe where will those probabilities come in, or where could those probabilities come in, where we could maybe find a good trading opportunity. This area is on a 1-hour now that I'm looking at it. So we'll just correct it, or maybe we'll go down to a 1-hour and just look at it if we need to. But otherwise, you guys can see that, yes, we are, or we did come nice momentum pushing towards this resistance. But ever since we got here, we've just been bouncing in and around this area. If someone like me is out there in the world and they sell buyers, then we could already be isolating some sort of a, wrong thing. I wanted to grab this. We could already be isolating some sort of an ascending structure. Okay, Zoom is telling me I've only got 10 minutes left. We could already be isolating some sort of an ascending structure, maybe looking at previous support that we have there that we've broken below, then obviously looking for price action to retest and then sell buy. Whatever the case is, we could be looking for sell price momentum. But me, because I have a descending structure on a higher time frame, my probabilities are bullish. So what I'm going to do, since I can see price action is not ready for that buy, I will wait for a low buy. Let's adjust this to the 4-hour and accommodate for, let's not force anything from last week or whatever the case is. If we go down to a 1-hour, our price already came and tapped into this area already. What do we do? Let's do, okay, now we're forced to go down to the 1-hour and see if there are any nice points of interest. So the point of interest that we were looking at last week, or at least I was looking at last week, on an H1, one thing, was this POI over here. We tapped into this POI, but not really deep enough. That's I was expecting this second touch to be our entry or something. That would have been a nice entry, but otherwise we tapped into this area, but basically not really deep enough. That's kind of why I was still looking for price action to come back to this area even last week. So basically, since we have this ascending structure, whatever price action is being corrective to the upside, whatever the case is, if sellers do want to come into this market, already price is impulsive, so there's going to be a reversal structure if ever you want to sell. If the sellers are coming in, let them come in. Let them help us get a much lower opportunity to buy. that's kind of my, I don't know, my plan for next week. Since price action seems like it's not ready, we've got an ascending structure telling us that maybe there's going to be a downward movement. Are there probabilities downward for me higher time frame? No. So I know that next week, if I ever do sell this pair, it's a low probability setup. If I find a buying opportunity, it's a high probability setup because it's in the direction of my higher time frame bias. So already I know if I'm selling this pair, I'm trading low probability side next week. So otherwise, New Zealand dollar CAD, if we don't come back to these POIs where we can find opportunities to buy, then I'm just not going to do anything. It's just going to be another one of those weeks where you just sit and do nothing because price action is just not giving you what you're expecting or what you're looking for. Yeah. Mamba likes to remind me that like millionaires are stubborn. And as traders, we think like millionaires, so we should also be stubborn. A millionaire is not going to bend for no one, not going to do something. If he doesn't want, he doesn't want. So we should also have the kind of like the same type of, I don't know, stubbornness when it comes to trading. Like I'm not going to settle for a low probability setup because there, even though maybe I can make money, there's a potential to make money, goes against my plan. And if I do that a couple of times, I'm going to get used to that. I'm going to get comfortable going against my overall plan or whatever the case is. And I won't recognize when it's a problem because I'm just always expecting that the market is never going to be showing me that it's boss. Otherwise, in New Zealand dollar yen, basically weekly, we've got this ascending structure, kind of why we've been sell biased for a long time. New Zealand dollar yen, guys, we're chopping. So weekly, only thing that I guess maybe is worth talking about is last week's rejection from whatever we're going to observe on a daily. We can basically see someone is looking to sell New Zealand dollar yen last week. But on a daily, if you guys remember from last week, we were looking for, or at least expecting price action to give us a bullish setup. Below these equal lows over there, we were expecting, okay, cool. If price action maybe wants to do something, react from this area, maybe come back down, we can find a nice buy from here because this is a beautiful momentum shift that was able to violate a couple of 4-hour levels of structure there. Nice momentum, nice corrective structure, nice equal lows, and then a point of interest. That would have been such a beautiful buy. Otherwise, price action decided that, okay, cool, we're going to come back and we're going to retest these highs. So what does that mean for us? That means that if ever I wanted to sell a JPY code pair, I've got 2 of them that both have setups, or at least sell setups that are a lot more cleaner that I can wait for, that are giving me a lot more structure on higher time frames that I can wait for. AJ and Susian are a lot more cleaner in terms of JPY pairs for a sell. Otherwise, what I chose to do is next week, maybe I'm going to use New Zealand dollar yen as my opportunity to hedge JPY code strength. Maybe if this JPY code pairs decide to buy over the course of next week, I'm going to use NJ as that pair where I'll look for bullish setups on this JPY code pairs. So for NJ, obviously you can see that there's sell buy setups. If someone wants to sell from a daily, there was momentum, bearish engulfing, all of that nice good stuff, whatever the case is. But all I've done is I've just asked myself, where do I see there being buyers? Only place where I do see there being buyers is this nice momentum shift area there. Nice 4-hour bullish engulfing. Price never came back to that area there. There is no other bullish engulfing that price has not come back to. So just chop in this area. And aside from that other daily bullish engulfing that I've obviously just refined to a 4-hour, where did that momentum originate from? A 4-hour. This POI here, these are the only 2 areas where I can look to buy New Zealand dollar yen. So in terms of selling it, if these JPY code pairs decide to keep selling, I'm not selling New Zealand dollar yen. New Zealand dollar yen, I'll save as my protection in case these JPY code pairs are just in chop and they just decide that they want to move up and down and whatever the case is. Maybe if there's a buy, I'll be able to find that on New Zealand dollar yen. Where am I looking for that buy? I'm looking for that buy if price action comes back to this POI here. Obviously, we pay attention to how. If we come here correctively, we can look for a risk entry. If we come here impulsively, we have to wait for a reversal structure. Nothing changes about how we're going to do anything. If you don't find an entry there, then obviously we wait for price action to come back to our low buy. I have my alert here because that's where I would love to buy. If there was a golden buying opportunity, it would be below these equal lows over there. So higher time frame, I know that my highest probability setup for a buy would be here. My mid probability setup would be somewhere inside of here. Not looking to buy it anywhere else, not looking to buy any other JPY code pair, not looking to sell New Zealand dollar yen. I can sell other JPY code pairs because they have better sell biased setups. Let's go on to the last pair, guys. Let's check the chats. Nothing there in the chats. We've got like 3 minutes left, so let's just be fast on US30. So on US30, let's just go up to a daily. Dailies would function like our weekly, since we always like one scale lower on US30. But otherwise, looking at US30, we've got this overall expanding descending structure. We've already tapped at the low of this descending structure. We saw our bullish momentum, whatever the case is. Looking at the most recent structure, just so that we can be safe, because we are living in that type of a world now where most recent price action will always give you the most relevant data to make your decision. So basically, most recent price action, momentum to the downside that is able to violate the level of structure. After that momentum, what do I see? I see a whole lot of chop. This chop, yes, is going to the upside, giving me higher highs and higher lows, but it's clear that this price action is corrective. It's moving to the upside correctively. So otherwise, first touch, and if you guys remember, guys, I think this was three weeks ago. Let's even go to the weekly chart so that I can confirm 3 weeks. This was 1 week, 2 weeks, 3. Yes, we had from 3 weeks ago, this was a POI that we were looking for to sell US30. That, I guess, goes back to the thing that I like to keep it in mind that, yes, I can have certain ideas on what price action could do, but I don't know how will price action deliver that to me. I can have this POI, but when and how will price action ever get to that? What will it do? And I don't know. So I should always leave that part of my system, or at least that part of my plan, open. I should be reactive when it comes to me taking or making these decisions to trade. So basically, 4 hour, first touch, second touch, third touch, nice POI, tap into, nice big bearish engulfing over there. What do I have on a 1 hour when I drop down? Basically 1 hour, I've got a level of structure, previous resistance that I've broken above and I've broken back below with nice momentum. All I'm looking for is very simple. Momentum, I'm looking for that corrective structure to come into my POI where I can look to sell. I've got this some sort of an ascending structure over there. So obviously this is the area where I'm targeting as maybe TPs, or where I could see if ever there's someone was going to buy it, they would buy it here, because that's where we see this momentum that was able to violate this resistance over there. That's where we see it starting. So basically that's why I have my alert here. For buys, I've got my alert here. I would like to sell inside of here. Nice, beautiful, sexy, clean, not a lot of drama. US30, we're looking to sell. Corrective structure, beautiful. Guys, let there be peace. We have less than 1 minute. So Zoom is going to end. Yeah, I'll just let Zoom gracefully end. I'm done. Thanks so much, guys. Let there be peace there in the streets. Let our brothers and sisters be safe. Enjoy.